Someone said something to me once, a complete stranger, that I have never forgotten. Not a famous person, not someone wise or important, just a woman I had never met before and never saw again. And what she said took about 10 seconds, but I still think about it now. Hello, and welcome back to English with Ella. I hope you are having a good day. Today's story is about that woman and about what she said, and about how a 10-second conversation with a total stranger can completely change an afternoon, and maybe something a little bigger than that too. If you are new here, hello! My name is Ella, and every episode I tell you a true story from my life in clear, natural English. Perfect for A2 and B1 learners who want to improve listening skills just by listening. No textbooks, just stories. Today's episode is called The Stranger Who Changed My Day. And before we get into the story, our first word, because it describes exactly what happened that afternoon. To strike up. To strike up a conversation. To strike up a conversation means to start talking to someone you don't know. To begin a conversation from nothing. No introduction, no reason, just two people and a moment. It takes a small amount of courage, and it can lead somewhere completely unexpected. Here are your examples. She struck up a conversation with the woman sitting next to her on the train. That means she started talking to a stranger. Out of nowhere. Just began. He's very good at striking up conversations. He can talk to anyone. That means he finds it easy to start talking to people he doesn't know. I would never usually strike up a conversation with a stranger, but that day I did. That means it wasn't like me, but something made me do it anyway. To strike up a conversation. And on the day of this story, it wasn't me who struck one up. It was her. Okay, let's go. So, the day this story takes place, I was not having a good one. Nothing dramatic had happened, no disasters, no emergencies, just one of those days where everything feels slightly too heavy. Where you are tired in a way that sleep doesn't fix. Where small things feel harder than they should. I had been in a meeting that went badly. Not catastrophically badly, just that particular kind of badly where you leave feeling like you said all the wrong things and forgot all the right ones. And I walked out of the building into the cold afternoon air, feeling flat and small and a little bit sorry for myself. I decided to walk home instead of getting the bus. I needed the air. I needed the movement. I needed to be outside and moving rather than sitting still with my thoughts. So I walked, past the shops, past the park, past the usual things. And about halfway home, I stopped at a small cafe to get a takeaway tea. Something warm to hold, something small and comforting. I ordered my tea, I stood to the side to wait, and that is when I noticed her. An older woman, maybe 70, maybe a little more, sitting alone at a small table by the window, a cup of something in front of her, a book open but not being read, just watching the street outside with this very calm, very settled expression. Like someone completely at peace with exactly where they were. And I found myself looking at her and thinking, I want to feel like that. Whatever she has, that stillness, I want that. My tea arrived. I picked it up. I was about to leave. And that is when she looked at me and smiled. Not a polite smile. A real one. And she said, very simply, very warmly, "That color suits you." I stopped. I looked down at my coat, a dark green coat I had owned for years and barely thought about. And I said, "Oh, thank you. That is really kind." And she said, "I always notice when something suits someone. It's a talent." And she said it so matter-of-factly, so warmly, that I laughed. A real laugh. The first one of the day. And here is where word 2 comes in. Because what happened next surprised me. Because I am not usually this person. Hesitant. Hesitant. Hesitant means unsure or nervous about doing something. When you are hesitant, you pause. You are not sure whether to go ahead. You hold back slightly, uncertain of what to do or say. Your examples. She was hesitant to speak up in the meeting. She wasn't sure her idea was good enough. That means she held back. She wasn't confident enough to go ahead. He was hesitant at first, but eventually agreed. That means he wasn't sure initially. He paused, but then he went ahead. I was hesitant to stop and talk. I didn't want to intrude. That means I wasn't sure if I should. I felt uncertain. I held back slightly. Hesitant. I was hesitant. I had my tea. I had somewhere to be. I was not in the habit of talking to strangers. But something made me stay. I pulled out the chair opposite her, just slightly, and I said, "Do you mind if I sit for a moment?" And she looked absolutely delighted. And she said, "I was hoping you might." Her name was Margaret. She was 73 years old. She had lived in the same neighborhood for 40 years, and she came to this cafe every Thursday afternoon. Same table, same drink, same book she was always meaning to read but never quite got around to. She told me that in the first 2 minutes. Just, "Here it is. Here is who I am. Take it or leave it." And I found myself, almost immediately, just talking to her. Properly talking. Not small talk, not careful talk, but the kind of conversation where you say things you didn't know you were going to say until they were already out of your mouth. Which brings us to word 3. Genuine. Genuine. Genuine means real, honest, truly meant. When something is genuine, there is no performance, no pretending. What you see is what is there. A genuine smile, a genuine compliment, a genuine conversation. Your examples. Her concern was genuine. She really did want to help. That means it was real. It wasn't performed. She truly cared. He gave a genuine apology. Not just words, but real feeling behind them. That means it wasn't just politeness. It meant something. It was the most genuine conversation I had had in a long time. That means real, honest, unguarded, no performance. Just 2 people actually talking. Genuine. That conversation with Margaret was one of the most genuine I can remember. I told her about the meeting, about the flat, heavy feeling of the day, about how I had decided to walk home because I needed the air. And she listened. Really listened. Not planning what she was going to say next, not waiting for her turn. Just listening. And then she said something. She said, "You know what I have learned? Bad days are not the opposite of good days. They are part of them. You cannot have the good without some of the bad in between. I sat with that for a moment. And then she asked me something that nobody had asked me in a long time. She asked, "What is something that made you smile this week? Even something small." And I had to think. Actually think. And I said, my neighbor's dog had looked at me through the fence that morning and wagged its tail. And somehow, that had made me feel better for about 30 seconds. And Margaret laughed. A proper laugh. And she said, "That is a perfect answer." And that brings us to word 4. To open up. To open up. To open up means to start talking about personal feelings or thoughts that you usually keep to yourself. When you open up, you let someone in. You share something real. It takes a small amount of trust, and it often feels better afterwards than you expected. Your examples. She found it hard to open up about how she was feeling. That means talking about personal things was difficult for her. She kept things inside. He opened up to his friend and felt much better for it. That means he shared what was really going on, and it helped. I don't usually open up to strangers, but something about her made it easy. That means I don't normally share personal things with people I don't know. But in this case, I did. To open up. I opened up to Margaret, a 73-year-old woman I had met 11 minutes ago in a cafe on a Thursday afternoon. And it felt completely natural. Okay, let's spend time with our final 3 words. And these 3 are some of the most beautiful in the whole episode. Word 5. Connection. Connection. Connection is the feeling of understanding between 2 people. When you feel connected to someone, you feel seen, you feel understood. There is something between you that goes beyond words, a sense of being on the same wavelength, of mattering to each other, even briefly. Your examples. They felt an instant connection, as if they had known each other for years. That means something clicked immediately. There was understanding between them without effort. Good conversation creates connection. That means talking genuinely, listening properly, it brings people closer. I felt a real connection with that stranger in the cafe. That means something passed between us. Understanding, warmth, a moment of real human contact. Connection. I felt it with Margaret. In a Thursday afternoon cafe, over a cup of tea, between 2 people who had never met and would never meet again. Word 6. To cheer up. To cheer up. To cheer up means to start feeling happier, or to make someone else feel happier. When your mood lifts, when the heaviness starts to go, when a smile comes back, you are cheering up. And when you do something kind for someone who is feeling low, you are cheering them up. Your examples. The good news cheered her up immediately. That means her mood lifted. She felt better. The heaviness went. He tried to cheer her up by making her laugh. That means he wanted to improve her mood, to bring her back up. That conversation cheered me up more than I expected. That means I hadn't expected to feel better, but I did. genuinely better. To cheer up. Margaret cheered me up. Not by solving anything, not by fixing the meeting or changing the day, just by being there, by listening, by asking about the dog. I stayed for nearly an hour, far longer than I planned. And when I eventually got up to leave, Margaret looked at me and said, very simply, "I hope tomorrow is kinder to you." I said, "Thank you, Margaret. I really mean that." And she waved her hand gently and went back to her book, as if the whole thing had been perfectly ordinary. Which brings us to our final word. Word 7. To stay with you. To stay with you. When something stays with you, it keeps coming back to your mind long after the moment has passed. A conversation, a place, a sentence someone said. It stays. You think about it days later, weeks later. It doesn't leave you. Your examples. That film stayed with me for days. I kept thinking about the ending. That means it didn't leave my mind. It kept coming back. Something she said stayed with me. That means her words kept returning to my thoughts, long after she had said them. The best moments in life are the ones that stay with you. That means they don't disappear when the moment ends. They linger. They become part of you. To stay with you. Margaret stayed with me. Her words stayed with me. That quiet, settled look she had by the cafe window, like someone completely at peace with where they were, that stayed with me most of all. I think about her on difficult days, and I think, bad days are not the opposite of good days. They are part of them. Okay, let's go through all 7 words from today, one final time. Word 1. To strike up a conversation. To start talking to someone you don't know. To begin from nothing. She struck up a conversation on the train. He's great at striking up conversations. I would never usually do it, but that day I did. Word 2. Hesitant. Unsure or nervous about doing something. Holding back slightly. She was hesitant to speak up. He was hesitant at first, but agreed. I was hesitant to stop and talk. Word 3. Genuine. Real, honest, truly meant. No performance, no pretending. Her concern was genuine. He gave a genuine apology. It was the most genuine conversation I'd had in a long time. Word 4. To open up. To share personal feelings or thoughts you usually keep to yourself. She found it hard to open up. He opened up and felt better for it. I don't usually open up to strangers, but something about her made it easy. Word 5. Connection. The feeling of understanding between two people. Being seen. Being on the same wavelength. They felt an instant connection. Good conversation creates connection. I felt a real connection with that stranger in the cafe. Word 6. To cheer up. To start feeling happier. Or to make someone else feel happier. The good news cheered her up. He tried to cheer her up. That conversation cheered me up more than I expected. Word 7. To stay with you. When a memory or moment keeps returning to your mind long after it happened. That film stayed with me for days. Something she said stayed with me. The best moments in life are the ones that stay with you. 7 words. All real, all natural, all useful in everyday English. And now, my question for you. Has a stranger ever said something to you that stayed with you? Something small, a comment, a kindness, a sentence that you never forgot even though you never saw that person again? Tell me in the comments. I mean it. This is one I really want to hear. Because I think these small human moments happen to all of us. And I think they matter more than we usually say. If you are enjoying English with Ella, please subscribe. New episodes, new stories, new vocabulary for real life. Coming up next, I want to tell you about my first day in a new job. The nerves, the getting everything slightly wrong, the trying very hard to make a good impression while quietly panicking. It goes about as well as you might expect. That episode is called Please Think I'm Competent. Until then, keep listening, keep learning. And if a stranger smiles at you today, maybe smile back. You never know what 10 seconds might do. See you in the next one. Bye for now.